Goodness me, what a dream.
Growing up, especially in America, certain things are matter-of-fact ways of life. They're never questioned, dissected, or criticized. One such thing is profit. In a country that runs on profit aggressively, I didn't learn what it was and how it came about until I was a quarter of a century old. That's a flowery way of saying until I was 25. I'm 26 now. It took an 80-year-old economist, my goat, Richard Wolff, to explain this concept in simple terms to me. There's a simple equation Wolff lays out. Embodied labor plus living labor equals total labor. When he dives into living labor being extracted to create surplus value, I had a mind-blown moment. More on that later. Before we get into the equation, let me explain what I thought profit was and what I'm sure many others thought profit was as well, maybe you. I thought profit was a mix of having a good product, consistent supply and demand, and just a little bit of luck. You have the right combination of those things and you'll make more money than you put into it, and thus, you'll have profit.
Swimming in it!
Of course, the smartest, strongest, fastest, most skilled among us earn the biggest profits because of their genius ideas and are thus deserving of said profit. That was the American fairy tale I was taught. Now, profit is much simpler to me. I can describe it in one word without the grandiose explanation. It's exploitation. Period.
Secret word of the day!
Let me explain how. Just a note too that I'll be referencing Richard Wolff here just as he's referencing Karl Marx. In our equation, embodied labor plus living labor equals total labor. Embodied labor represents labor that was done previously that the capitalist is purchasing with their money. Money being called capital in this case. Let me know if that word sounds familiar. If you are a hamburger chain, you don't buy a whole cow and serve it to the customer. You buy beef, which has already been raised, slaughtered, preserved, and packaged for our capitalist to purchase for his own goals. This embodied labor is just the tools needed to make our final product. In the case of a hamburger shop, in addition to the beef, you might have potatoes, and a grill that was previously assembled, and cups and straws and so on. Now, our capitalist ain't the most skilled guy in the world, and he's kinda lazy. He doesn't know how, or maybe he just doesn't feel like, making the hamburgers to sell. Lucky for him, he, being an employer, can hire an employee for their living labor. That's you and me. That's your mom and dad, your brother and sister, and your friends. Anyone you know who is being paid to trade their time for their labor is an employee, and thus part of the living labor portion of this equation. So in this case, our hamburger capitalist hires you because you're a master hamburger chef. Or maybe you could just follow instructions really good and have basic motor skills to make hamburgers. It doesn't particularly matter. So our capitalist paid for the tools, or embodied labor, they needed. Let's say their value for one day amounts to $100. You, the employee, adds $100 worth of labor in a day to this hamburger franchise, and thus, the total labor produced at the end of the day was $200. 100 plus 100 equals 200. Simple. Not bad. But our capitalist isn't done. First, they need to take back the money they made from the tools they purchased. 200 minus 100 is 100. Fantastic. Now with this formula, you could do something very interesting. You could arrange things as such that the employee gets back what they made. They did $100 worth of work, they get $100 worth of pay, leaving our capitalist with zero. Goose egg. He'd get back exactly what he put in. They'd get nothing extra from this exchange, and thus it wouldn't be worth it for a budding capitalist. So instead, he gets an idea. He can't budge on embodied labor. There is no burger without beef in the patty and the grill and so on, so that's a no-go. But he can take from his employee the living labor. He can't pay them zero, or the employee would leave them a strongly worded letter along the lines of, "Screw you, I'm out," and now you have no labor. So the capitalist must pay them just enough for the worker to come back the next day and do it all again. For simplicity, let's say our capitalist is generous, and he pays them half of the value they put in, $50. And believe me, that is generous. The reality is much worse. The employee gets to eat, go home, rub his balls, and come back the next day fulfilled, not knowing they were just stolen from. Our capitalist, however, comes away with an additional $50. This $50 is what we call surplus value. Or perhaps you know it as profit! Roll credits. In simple terms, every day you go to work, your boss steals from you the value that you added, while they do nothing but add back to their capital with profit so that they can do it all again. But bigger! And It's not just happening to you, it's happening to every employee you know across your city, your country, and across the world. Now, you might say, well, that sounds harsh when you put it that way, but we are individuals in a free country. Every person has agreed to the terms of their work, and if they don't like it, they are free to work somewhere else. Okay, fair point. But let's expand the context here. In this country, if you are of working age and do not work, then you will go hungry and homeless and die. Not much of a choice here. Work or die. As for switching jobs, sure, easier said than done, but that's beside the point. Really, you have the choice to pick someone else whose terms of exploitation may differ slightly, but otherwise is still robbing you. Now, all this begs the question, even if you have a high-paying job, if your boss is willing to pay you what you make, what the hell are they making? Just food for thought. A better tomorrow is possible. Thanks for watching.